Well, welcome, and I'm going to talk about this tonight. You and I will specifically talk about what's called seeding the moon. It's it's an ancient practice of basically, I don't know if you're asking the moon or asking God or asking spirit. You're asking for your dreams and wishes to come true on the new moon. And so that's tomorrow morning. And I have a little slideshow prepared for you. I'm going to share that. So I first read about this 20 years ago, and the woman who wrote the book about it, and I can share that book with you, I can send you that later. She said to write down your wishes on the new moon and write 10 of them. And I practiced that for a while, and maybe I didn't get the results I wanted or something, but the question I had this question of, people garden with the moon and they fish with the moon and they cut their hair with the moon. And I was like, why wouldn't I align my actions with the moon? So if you garden with the moon, for example, you prune on certain days and you plant your plants on certain, you plant seeds on certain days and you plant bulbs on certain days. So that, like I say, that started, I was like, well, why wouldn't I want to cultivate my wishes and dreams just like I cultivated my garden? So that's kind of when I started to develop, beyond just the wishing on the new moon, a practice that goes over the whole moon cycle and then aligns with the whole growing season, the whole solar year. But today we're just going to focus on a new moon, because there's a new moon tomorrow morning at I guess it's 3:48 a.m. our time. You don't need to get up that early.
I can if I need to do something.
So this practice is called seeding the moon. So it's interesting because it's actually like a gardening term. And the new moon, because the sun and the moon line up in the sky, right? Like you can't see the moon right now because the sun and moon are in the same part of the sky. So you don't see the moon, you see the shadow of the moon, if you can see it. And so it's a potent time for, I guess, like I say, as in the ancient magical process, it was a potent time for manifesting and for asking for dreams and wishes. I like that post you saw on Facebook about the calling. I think there's two things happening. I think our spirit is like, at this time, we hear it more clearly, like our psychic energy is stronger at the new moon. So I think we can hear. So let's say our dreams are already going to happen in the future. It's like we can hear and tap into that, what we really want and desire, and what already is in alignment for us. We have a better way of tapping into that at the new moon, as well as this powerful energy where the sun and moon line up, and it's great for manifesting. So it is, a lot of people, if you look into other people's moon practices, a lot of people will talk about the manifesting energy of the new moon, and that's certainly real. I'm sorry for that. There's somebody working on our house out there. Is that
it's okay? Yeah. I can hear you there.
Okay. So, and also what I've learned doing this over 20 years is that by aligning with the moon cycle I do it pretty much every week. Sometimes I miss a week here or there, but I pretty much pay attention to what my dreams are and where the moon is and what part of the process I'm in. And what I found is that I've grown in my intuition. I've grown in some spiritual gifts like that, intuition, channeling, and also I would say I've seen a real change in my spiritual growth over the last several years, like as I've gotten deeper into studying these cycles. So I think that, and maybe you and I talked about this the other day, the manifestation and spiritual growth go hand in hand, I think. Okay, so the new moon's in Scorpio tomorrow morning. that's when the sun is in Scorpio in the zodiac, you know, the sun moves throughout in a year. We see it moving through the zodiac, or the way we see it, because we're revolving around the sun, and then the moon is lined up with that. And it creates an eclipse when they're so close together that the moon, from our vantage point, appears to block the sun. So when the sun and moon, every month when the sun and moon come together, that's a new moon. And regardless of whether it's an eclipse or not, this is a time of going inward. The energy is more quiet. It's a good time to, like I say, do that psychic work and like inward spiritual work, listening. And I think, I mean, I definitely feel more tired at the new moons. I can tell. Like sometimes on the full moon, I can't sleep. The moon's so bright, and I have so much energy. And on the new moon, I'm like I'm like exhausted. So I have really noticed my energy fluctuates with that moon cycle. And so I would say, okay, if you think of like pregnancy, like when the child is conceived, like it happens in this fertile dark place, and that's kind of the way the sun and the moon coming together is happening, in this kind of fertile dark special place. And so so this ritual is about really connecting with that energy of how you seed something and manifest it. And on my notes here, it says, use your core desired emotions. I'll send you that later. That's about like connecting with how you want to feel. But that's a whole subject in and of itself. So I'll tell you about that later. And so, okay, use your emotions. So what's important to take away from that is when you do your ritual tomorrow morning, really connect in with how you want to feel and how your dreams or wishes or desires, how they make you feel. Like if they came true for you, how, you know, like how you would feel when they're manifested.
Can
That's important.
you explain that? So is it, but I want to manifest, but I want to write down what the feeling I would have if once that is completed? Is that the type of emotion I'm supposed to be writing down? On the how do I want to feel? So I'm just
that's a good question. I don't always write how I want to feel, but I try to get into if I say I want to you know, increase the number of people in my moon class, I try to get into the feeling of why that why I want that goal, like because because it makes me feel like I'm giving more service with my spiritual work or what.
Okay.
You know, so I think you can write, because you asked about the wording, and I've been thinking about that since you asked me last week.
Because I don't, you know, I can ask like I want, but is it, do I get to create this? You know, I'm so happy and grateful now that, you know, just all the stuff that I've learned. It was like, am I doing it right, to speaking out loud as it's already been done? Yeah,
I think it is right. I guess I would say, having thought a lot about it, I think, and I haven't tested it, I've used different I've seen this moon work even though I've used affirmations. I've used I want. Sometimes I just use phrases like you know, I'm going to make X amount of money, or X amount of money. I don't even put like I make the money. I think it has more to do with like really feeling the energy of it. I mean, it is important what you write down. So that's why I've been really, I think I'm going to have to think about it a little longer to give you a really good answer, because I have thought about it since we talked last week, and I'm like, I've seen the moon work regardless of how I've phrased it. It's more about like getting into that feeling place of like, and getting really clear about what it is that you want to bring to fruition.
And that's what I want. I want more clarity, because I feel like I think I want stuff, but I never live it in the moment. Like I don't envision though I want it and I write it down, and it's what I desire, I've
Yeah.
never been in that feeling and moment, then I'm already living it. And I feel like in order for me to make this happen, I have to believe in it. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. So okay. I'm going to send you after today, I'm going to send you the book called The Desire Map, called The Core Desired Emotions. This is something I use with this moon work, and it's referenced here. Okay, I'll tell you briefly
Okay.
about it because it's important, and I do teach it when I teach the moon work. I do teach this with it. So this woman Danielle Laporte wrote this book called The Desire Map, and it's about what she calls writing goals. I mean, the subtitle is Writing Goals with Soul.
Okay.
And she helps you, it's a workbook, and she helps you define what she calls your core desired emotions, which are, let's say, 5 to 7 emotions that really light you up, like how you, like what makes you feel the best. Like, and for everybody, it's sort of like a fingerprint because those 5 to 7 emotions are different for everyone. Like I want to feel mystical, which that word describes kind of my relationship with God. And I want to feel inspired, and that has kind of the way I feel when I make art or when I'm doing writing. And I want to feel joyful. So I took some time to do the workbook and identify what these emotions are. And doing that with the moon work really helped me get clear on, like, when I didn't know what I wanted to create, I just focused on how I wanted to feel. And then the things that made me feel that way started to appear.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So sometimes I have to, every once in a while, it's not all the time, but every once in a while I have to clean the slate and go, okay, what is it that I want? Oh, I want to feel joyful. Okay, what makes me feel joyful? And oh, I want to feel inspired. What makes me feel inspired? And I want to feel mystical. And I want more, and I want to grow that feeling in my life. So I do put the core desired emotions in my in the wheel that I'm going to show you, in the ritual.
Okay.
So that I'm increasing them. Yeah, so
Yeah,
I'll send you that.
okay. Yeah, because I really like to know, like, how detailed do I have to be on that? I don't want to ask for, like, in the real estate world is 5 doors, which for me it's 5 actual properties. I don't
Yeah,
want to ask for 5 doors because I understand what that means in the real estate, but I don't want to be given like 5 physical doors.
yeah.
So I want 5 rental properties,
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what so I don't know how specific I need to be in detail as to what I'm creating and asking for.
Yeah, I wouldn't go.
I mean, that was an example, but I mean,
Yeah, no,
how,
that's a good question. And like I say, I've been thinking about it since you asked.
okay.
I think it's more, it's kind of like the way we wrote goals in PLD. It's more important to get the parameters of what you want to achieve, like the feeling, like instead of, saying I want 5 doors and I'm going to do it this way, you would write, maybe what it is, like I want to make X amount of money or something.
By these rental properties.
Yeah,
Stuff.
exactly.
Okay.
And then not specify the number so that you have the flexibility to bring it into
more.
into reality. So I would write it more. Okay. This is something I've definitely been practicing over the years. How you write the parameters of something, like how you want to feel, like how you define it. This is important. And so I'd really connect with how you want to feel and define the what of what's going to make you feel that way. And then leave it open-ended for the universe to answer that on on the specifics. Have you ever heard that? Like, you define the what and the universe provides the how or whatever.
Yeah, I've heard of that, but that really resonated with me. You say connect with how you want to feel. Like, I don't, even you mentioning about manifesting with using my emotions. So I've never tapped into that.
Okay.
So I think that's very helpful.
Yeah, and the emotions, and I've heard this. Okay, it's funny because I've heard this from different people, and I've read it also in like old, like ancient mystical stuff about the Kabbalah and stuff like that. We use visualization, our mind, to picture, to picture what we want, but the emotions give it like tremendous power. Okay, somebody's joining us. The emotions give us the power to manifest it. And so I'd say the emotion of how you want to feel is more powerful. Hey, is it Taz?
It is.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, welcome. We're having Noemi and I. Okay, we're having a preliminary session. You're welcome to stay here with us. I'm giving Noemi's joining us the basics of like a new moon.
Hi.
Oh, okay. Well, good. Well, I'll jump off and come back in a little bit. So I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh,
Okay.
it's okay.
You're
Angie's
good.
coming on at it's yeah. So if you want to, or even just turn your video off and
Okay.
Zoom link open or whatever works. Yeah,
Okay. I'll
whatever's
I'll
easier for
just
you.
hang out. Okay.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Okay, so yeah, I would say really focus on how you want to feel is more powerful and will eventually lead you to the outcome you want,
Okay.
rather than trying to narrowly define it in terms of a goal. Sometimes can bring you a thing. I don't know. I've had a couple times where I've defined a goal and I've been specific and I got what I asked for, and it wasn't fulfilling.
Mm.
And you want it
Okay.
to, right? If you focus on how you want to feel, the outcome will be fulfilling in the sense that you'll receive how you want to feel.
Makes a lot of sense.
So like some of the words I heard you say last week, like luxurious was a word, or luxury. I think there's some elements to tap into.
Yeah, that's what I meant about like when I say I want to be a luxury real estate agent, like I know what that means. However,
Yeah.
when I write it down, do I have to be more specific? I want to sell $1 million homes plus, that's why I was asking, do I have to like,
Yeah.
write down? Because a luxury real estate agent can look like 100 different ways, I guess.
Yeah. I think as long as you know what that if you have that clarity of definition in your mind, I think you can say luxury real estate.
Yeah. Well, for me, it means that I'm in the big dollars of real estate.
Right, exactly. And so I would have a clear definition of what that means to you, and then just write it more simply for your moon wheel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so because we only have a few more minutes, okay, you got it. Okay, let me just give you, actually, this is important.
Okay.
So we align with these 4 main phases, the 4 obvious phases of the moon. The new moon, which I suggest, like, spend time really listening to what you want and feeling what you want. That might be the most important part, and then writing it down. And then what happens is the energy of the moon waxes, which is the growing energy. So we see the moon, like, don't see the moon tonight because it's new tomorrow morning. I would wait until tomorrow to see the moon when it's growing, because you want the energy of what you're asking for to grow. So for the next after the new moon, for 2 weeks, the energy grows, it waxes, and then the moon's full, and then the energy wanes. And so, we ask for what we want on the new moon. Next week, I'll teach you how to take supportive actions towards what you want. And then on the full moon, we use it like a mirror of looking at our results. So that's like an observation period. And then on the last quarter, we release what's no longer serving us, so that we can then go back to like listening and like shifting, right? So we're increasing what's working and we're decreasing what's not working, whether that's like physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to make I might send you this. You're going to make a moon wheel, and I'll send you a handout. I'll send you like a template.
Okay.
Like, I make mine in a book, and I think I'll send you, like, if you want to do this for a while, this is a book I got at Michael's. It's like an 11 by 14 white drawing pad.
Okay. I have one of those.
Oh, you do? Okay, cool.
Yeah, actually, I'm
Oh,
looking at it right now.
Oh my God.
'Cause I sketched for a while and
Oh my God, that's
here.
perfect.
I got it.
Okay.
It's like sketch paper, but it's all single pages.
Yeah, that's what it is, sketch paper. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Well, that makes it easy. Scott actually made this suggestion because I used to do mine in all these different art pads. And I had one scattered all over the place. And yeah, and so he was like, why don't you keep it all together? So this is great. So I start mine on the winter solstice. So this one starts on the winter solstice from last year. And then I'll keep this book just for this year in 2022. And I'll start a new one, at the winter solstice for next year.
Can you send me this so I can do it how you
Yes.
want it done?
PDF,
Okay.
The
Yeah.
PowerPoint. Okay, yeah. I'll
Yeah.
send you the PowerPoint and the template. And then, yeah.
By when do I have to complete this?
The optimal time to do this energy is the moon's, it's kind of inconvenient. I say the moon is new tomorrow at 3:48 in the morning. The one book that I have says to do it within 8 hours if possible of the new moon. So
It's possible.
If it's
I wake
possible.
up at 4:30 in the morning, so I can,
Okay.
that's kind of my time, 4:30, 5 o'clock, so I can work on it in the morning.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's a good time. I'm going to get up early also and do mine because I also get up early. And that's a good time too. So within 8 hours is when sometimes the moon, but then, okay, well, I'll get into that later. Do it within 8
Okay.
hours for right now. That's
Okay.
the best, like as far as really harmonizing with that new moon energy.
So
Yeah.
on these, on the wheel ritual, it'll be emotional, spiritual, physical, and mental. There's no
Yes.
business or wealth on there.
I would put your wealth in, like in the Peace of Mind square, wealth in mental.
Okay.
And relationships in emotional. Usually I put creative projects in spiritual, and then like home, like environment, like home and your environment, I would put in physical.
Okay.
Yeah. And otherwise you're kind of using your intuition on
Mhm.
what category you would put it in for you.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just going to show you this. Let's see, what time is it? We got
Got like 1 minute.
We've got a few minutes. Okay, so Gary and Anna and Taz, Noemi is joining us, and I'm just giving her some
Hi.
basics before we switch over. Angie's going to join us in a minute too. So anyway, this is not how I was taught to do the moon work, but this is something I had learned, the medicine wheel. And I was like, okay, the medicine wheel is pretty complex. It's a map, like the indigenous Americans used the medicine wheel as a map of the community. They used it as a wisdom tool for the community. It's used as a wheel to help you get in balance. So there's a lot of layers to the medicine wheel, and I had been studying it for several years when I was like, this is a good tool to pair with the moon work because it's a very because it has these 4 parts of the self. On the east is the mental, on the south is the physical, on the west is the emotional, and the north is the spiritual. So it's a really good tool for, I would say, even magical tool for helping you focus in on yourself. And so I've got a couple notes here. So it's a map. So I want you to consider that it's both a map of yourself, and then as you write your stuff in it tomorrow, it's also a map to your dreams. So, and if you want to think about it simultaneously, it's a map of you and of your dreams at the same time. It's got the 4 directions. I just went over the 4 parts of self. The circle is used in magic, and it's used in pretty much every tradition in the world to represent the spirit, and it represents the container of the spirit. So it is important in my mind, even if you don't want to use the medicine wheel, draw a circle and write if you want to get rid of the 4 parts of self and just write your stuff in a circle, it's important to use the circle.
Okay.
So in other magical traditions, you know, they use the circle for manifesting. But you don't
Got
have
it.
to have the quadrants, but I like the quadrants. And then the children's fire is this thing in the center. That was where traditionally in the community people would, the children would hang out with the elders, and they, you know, they would cook there, and you can probably imagine there was a fire and there was laughter, and it's a place to draw energy, the children's fire. So when you do it in your moon wheel, I often put a theme. If you have a theme of whatever's going on, I put the theme in there. Or Angie's going to give us a spirit animal tonight. So if you want to, okay, you could see, oh, well, you saw my other medicine wheel
Yeah.
where I had the blue
The
heron
crane.
in there. So often I draw the spirit animal in the center, just to
Okay.
keep me focused. That's our, yeah. And
Well, thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. And let's see. Okay, Angie's here. Okay, we'll switch over. And okay, so I want you to think of it as a map of your spirit. And like I said, self-portrait of who you are, but also a map to your dreams. It's is also a compass. So it's helping you get clarity and direction. And it's also a wheel, which a wheel creates ease of movement and momentum. And it's also a tool for balance, because the reason this wheel is used in the beauty way is because it's balanced between the mental, or part of that beauty way is the balance between the mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual.
Mm.
Yeah. And just to speak Sai ease to you for a second, in the Path to Liberty, you know, he talks about how to create liberty. And he says you have to follow the spiritual guidance and then focus your mental, emotional, and physical, right? You have to be in balance and focus those forces, and then you'll create liberty. Does that make sense? So
Yeah, if I'm in tune with all those, that's how it creates.
yeah. So when I look at this, I mean, I learned the medicine wheel before I learned that from Thomas Wilhite, but then I was like, well, the medicine wheel is a perfect tool for working, you know, for really considering how to create that balance and that liberty. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, if you can send that to me so I can read it with more
Okay.
time, so I can prepare myself for the morning to write that down.
Okay, cool. And on this last slide, it just gives you some tips on like making these wheels.
Oh
but-
yeah,
Okay, I'll send you that.
definitely need that.
Cool. All right. I'll
Thank
send
you.
you that. Thank you. And I'm going to stop our recording.